Hey guys, what's going on? Andrew here. I've got a few projects going on, so I decided to make a short video and just go over the progress on the different projects that I'm working on. So the first thing we got is this thing here. This is a, I don't know if you can tell this or not, but this is actually a miter box for cutting a fretboard, but it's not a regular fretboard. If you can tell by the cuts, if you can see them cuts or not. But this is for a fanned fret multi-scale fretboard. One of the guitars I'm working on is a multi-scale. It's a 25.5 to a 27-inch scale. So this side will represent the 27, and this side will represent the 25.5-inch scale. And I made the miter box 24 frets long. So now what I do is take my fretboard, set it in here, line it up on my center line on the fretboard and the center line on this, line it up, and I just drop my saw in, and this saw right here, and that slides down in that slot. That's what I cut it with. I get down through in a slot the whole fretboard, and the cool thing about that is you don't have to sit down and pull out a paper and with all the measurements on and measure it out every time. Once you measure it out once and you get it right here, then now I can make this fretboard all the time. So this is the first one. This is just a practice, kind of like a practice one. I don't know if I'm going to use it or not, but that's basically the lines on the maple fretboard that match this. And then the one I'm probably going to use is right here. This one hasn't been cut yet either, but this is a walnut, it's 1/4 inch thick walnut fretboard. I got to radius it and I got to cut the slots into it. So it'll sit down in kind of like that. Line it up with my line up front here, something like that, and I'll go through, clamp it down in the front, clamp it down in the back, and go through and cut all my slots. Once they're cut, then we can come back through. This is wider than it needs to be. We'll come back through and measure the width at the nut and the width at the back of the neck and cut that down. Get ready to glue this thing on, and then from there, radius that fretboard, give it probably 14 or so radius on it, 14, 16, something like that. Pretty flat radius on that one. The next project that I'm working on is actually this one right here, the pine telly. So from the last video, I'm not sure, can't remember what exactly was done, but I don't know if this was cut into it yet in the last video, but I did cut that into it, put a little hook in the bottom. I've also came back, cut an armrest in that kind of matches the outside of this here, kind of matches that in there. And then on the back side, cut a belly rest in here. And then down at the bottom, I cut a little cutaway, so if you're playing it and you have it on your leg like this, it's kind of rounded over so it doesn't like dig into your leg. I don't think it's that big of a deal, but it is something that's pretty neat that I cut in. It's just a small cut in there, so that's pretty cool about that. On the neck itself, the neck is stripped down about as far as I'm going to take it. All they do is come back through and get it sanded down to like 320 or 400 or something like that. Then I'll come back through and put like the stain, I think it's called vintage amber. It matches this fretboard and basically make it the same stain. Then I'll do the true oil on the back of the neck here, up on the peg head on the front and back. Probably put lacquer on that and just kind of, I don't know, match it in there somehow. But I got to put my stickers and stuff on here, and I kind of need to have that lacquer to make that work with that. But the back of the neck's going to get that true oil finish. On the frets itself, these are nickel frets. I got EVO fret wire I've been using on most of my builds, so I don't know if I'm going to leave these nickels on or pull these out and put the EVOs in. Haven't made that decision yet. And another decision is pickups. I don't know what pickups I'm going to use yet. I got a couple sets of humbuckers laying around that I thought about throwing in, making it a humbucker guitar, but I'm thinking about using the telly style single coils in the back and the front and making it kind of more like a standard telly. But I haven't decided yet what I'm going to do yet. So, and the body wise, I'm not going to paint it. I'm going to leave it natural. The reason I picked this wood is because of the knots. I want the knots to show through. It's got a couple knots on the front and a couple knots on the back. So I'll probably come through and find some kind of natural looking stain to put on this to keep it where you still see the knots, but it's not like a color stain, like a blue or red. It's more like a natural, you know, stain that just kind of shows the grain. kind of highlights the green and stuff, highlights the dark without changing too much color. So that's that one, and this one should be done, I don't know, depends when I work on it. I'm only working on it when I'm not really busy. It's not sold or anything, it's just something I just wanted to do for a while, for over a year. I wanted to build a pine telly, and it's just something that when I got some free time I'm working on and stuff like that. And then my last project, well, not my last project, actually I got one more project after this one, but I really can't show you a whole lot of that right now. But the next project that I'm working on is this one. This one is sold. So, and I don't know where I was on this one on the last video. I think all the routing was done on it, and I think it's basically pretty much the same. I haven't done a whole lot of work on this one in a while. It's basically ready for paint. This body's ready for paint. It's got one humbucker, 2 pneumatic bridge, and I got 3 strings on it. And I think I'm putting in it's getting a humbucker, so I'm putting in a tone and then I'm not sure what they're called, but there's a switch that knocks the pickup in and out of phase. And it'll be a push-pull switch that'll cut the pickup from a humbucker to a single coil. And I might put a kill switch in too. It is a lefty. This is a lefty guitar. I got 2 frets in, and we'll talk about that in a second. That's the front. The back, the only thing I got to do on the back is route for my cavity cover to sit down in, because that's going to set flush. I got a cutaway here so I can get access up the neck. I used button head bolts instead of screws to bolt it in. I got brass inserts in this neck. It's a 3-piece maple neck, white binding with a maple fretboard, and it's reverse peg head. And this thing, color-wise, I wanted to stain it. It's getting painted. It's getting orange is what it's getting. But I wanted to stain it orange and kind of highlight the grain with a black stain. But I haven't decided yet. But probably what I'm going to do is just paint it a solid color and be done with it, because this one really needs to be gone. The guy that's getting it really doesn't care. He just wants it orange. He don't care if it's stained orange or painted orange. And I think I'm just going to paint it, just get it out. So that's the body and that's the neck. Now, the thing that's screwed up about this thing is I started fretting this thing up, and somewhere along the line I don't got the fretboard level. So I got to pull these 2 frets out and come back through, and it's just off a little bit. I mean, just on the edge. On the edge the whole way down. I don't know if it's the whole way down. I know the first 2 frets are. I got to check it. And on the edge over here, but I imagine it's the whole way down. It's just the radius, for whatever reason, is steeper on the edges than it is in the middle. And when I put my frets in, I got gaps on each end. And so I got to come back through and re-level this fretboard. Now, if it turns out that it's too much of a job to re-level it, or if I think it's not going to be too much, I'm just going to go ahead and remove the fretboard and put a different fretboard on altogether. Just eliminate it. But I will try to re-level it first. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it though. If it looks like it's going to be too much trouble, I'm just going to rip the fretboard off and put a new one on, and be done with that. That way I can get this thing fretted up. And this thing is basically ready for paint, minus the fact that I just got to route this in. Once I route that in, it's already sanded down to 320, I believe, so it's ready for paint as we stand right now. So the neck on this is getting a true oil finish on the back. Depending on what fretboard, if I keep this fretboard, I'll probably put a true oil on the neck. I'm not going to lacquer it. And then on the peg head, the same as the other one, I'll get lacquer on the front. And up to this volute, it'll be true oil. Then from here to that volute will be lacquer. There again, with my stickers, I got to do lacquer on the peg head. And like I said, this one's gone. This one's already sold. So as soon as this is done, it's getting shipped out. So that's cool. And so this is going to be getting done here in the next week or so, hopefully. There's one more project that I'm working on, and I don't. There's already one video out of it, so I mean, you kind of got an idea what's going to happen with that. But that's all I'm going to say about that project. It is the where the fretboard is on. Oh, it's right here. No, I put the fretboard away. Anyways, it's that fan fret multi-scale guitar, and that's all I'm going to say. It's a 7-string, and that's another one I'm working on. That one's not sold either. That's going to be one of my production models. So that's about it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another video.